Hi, my name is Owilda Jimenez. I am a virtual content specialist teacher from PS 386 in the Bronx. I'm creating this student-facing video clip in partnership with Maria Friedland from the Division of Multilingual Learners. Our goal is to support our multilingual learners and English language learners in social studies during remote and blended instruction. The lesson that we're going to focus on for our student-facing video is the Grade 4, Unit 3, Day 12 lesson called The French and Indian War Leads to Trouble. The focus question is, what events led to the war with Great Britain? And our lesson objective is to examine the results of the French and Indian War and its connection to the causes of the American Revolution. All right, friends, so we are here today to think about what are the events that caused the colonists to want to go to war with Great Britain. And in our introduction of the lesson, we saw this taxation timeline and learned that because Britain and France went to war, they were in major debt. And they decided that they could pay off their debt by imposing these taxes on the colonists who were living across the ocean in a different land and had no say in the French and Indian War. So before we begin, I want us to think about this idea of point of view. And point of view affects how we feel about a topic or issue. So who we are, our role in society can affect our point of view on an issue. Let me give you an example. Many people think that the school day should be longer. Now, your point of view on that issue will be different depending on your role in society. A teacher, a parent, and yourself, a student, will have a different opinion about this issue. Let's think about that for a few seconds. So as a parent, I think the school day should be longer so that will give me more time to make sure I do everything I need to in my job and make the money I need to provide food and shelter for my family. However, as a teacher, I don't think the school day should be longer because teachers are already working before school and after school. And if the school day was longer, that means that we would have to work more than what we're already working. So we're not going to have much time with our families anyway. So we don't think the school day should be longer. Now, as a student, what's your point of view on the issue? I'll give you a few seconds to think about that. So I hope you notice that our roles in society affects our point of view on an issue. And I want you to hold on to that because in our lesson for today, point of view affects your feelings on the British Parliament's acts and taxes. Okay, so for independent practice today, you're going to be responsible for reading and listening to one of the scenario cards or colonist cards from the point of view of a colonist living in one of the 13 colonies under British rule. You're going to use evidence from the map of North America in 1763, which we saw in our introduction. Remember that the Proclamation of 1763 had this red line drawn and says colonists were forbidden to settle beyond the proclamation line, a boundary drawn by the British. Right? So remember, colonists could not move past this line for any reason. We're going to see the taxation timeline again, which we saw in the introduction of our lesson. Remember that the British won the French and Indian War, and as a result of fighting that war, they fell into debt. They spent a lot of money they did not have during this war. And they decided that they can pay off the people that they owe money to by creating these taxes, the Sugar Act, Stamp Act, Townshend Act, and Tea Act, and tax the colonists, make them pay. Remember, the British are making these laws and taxing the colonists who are living across the Atlantic Ocean and had no say on these taxes and no say on this war. So what you're going to do is I'm going to assign you a card, right? I'm going to show you an example with colonist card 1. Now I want you to go to use wordsif.org. You're going to go to wordsif.org. I'm going to read this card, right? It says, Colonist 1 is originally from Germany and lives on the Pennsylvania frontier. Colonist 1 decides to move his family out of the Pennsylvania colony into the Ohio Valley. He plans to move near a British fort in the Ohio Valley because it can provide protection from Native Americans. As Colonist 1 and his family move towards the Ohio Valley, British soldiers stop him and inform him that the proclamation of 1763 prohibits or prevents or stops him from moving into the Ohio Valley. He had never heard of this law before. So we're thinking, right? We have our organizer. We're thinking about which acts or taxes would affect you the most and why. Do you think that these acts or taxes are fair or unfair and why? If you could tell King George and the British Parliament or government how you feel about these taxes and acts, what would you say? Here's some sentence starters in red that can help you answer the questions. So, okay, I can copy this, go to wordsif.org, paste, and this tool will help me understand what I read. Right, so here, if I go to the bottom, it says Colonist 1 decides to move his family out of the Pennsylvania colony into the Ohio Valley. He plans to move near British fort in the Ohio Valley because it can provide protection from Native Americans. Oh, I see. So Colonist 1 is scared for his life, right? He wants protection from the Native Americans. As Colonist 1 and his family moved to towards the Ohio Valley, British soldiers stop him and inform him that the proclamation of 1763 prohibits or prevents him from moving into the Ohio Valley. All right, so let's think. Let's go back, right? So here is the proclamation of 1763. So if you lived here, right, you could not cross over. So let's think about these questions, right? What acts or taxes would affect me the most? Well, we notice right here, the proclamation of 1763 prevents or stops him from moving to the Ohio Valley. Okay, so that might be some information that you use to answer this question. Do you think these acts or taxes are fair, unfair, and why? So you're the colonist, right? You're trying to escape a dangerous situation. Do you think the proclamation of 1763 is fair or unfair? Why? Think about it and then jot your ideas down here. If you could tell King George and the British Parliament or government how you feel about these taxes and acts, what would you say? I would tell King George and the British Parliament, maybe I would say, try to convince him and teach him about what's going on, right? The relationship between the indigenous people or the Native Americans and the colonists are not good. They're very dangerous. Maybe the British Parliament needs to know this information. so that they can understand that they should get rid of this proclamation. I should be able, as a colonist, to live wherever I want. So that's an example. Now your turn. I want you to use colonist card 4, right? Colonist card 4. You can click on the audio to listen to it. You can go to wordsift.org, copy and paste the information on the card. And I want you to fill out this organizer, answer these 3 questions, and post it on your Google Classroom. Thank you for coming to Social Studies.